This is the Veterinary Project Podcast, episode 21.
Welcome to the show created by vets featuring absolutely no pets. This is the Veterinary Project Podcast, hosted by Dr. Michael Bugg and Dr. Jonathan Light. Our resident veterinarians have swapped out their stethoscopes in favor of microphones to bring you the Veterinary Project Podcast, a show focused on real conversations, aimed to connect this amazing profession full of remarkable people. Through the sharing of collective stories and wisdom, and connecting over the many unique challenges we face, we invite you to join our community of veterinary professionals leading intentional lives. And now, here are the hosts of the Veterinary Project Podcast, Dr. Michael Bugg and Dr. Jonathan Light.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. I'm sure everyone is more than eager to turn the page on 2020 and kick off the new year. As always, Dr. Jonathan Light, Dr. Michael Bugg, for another year of the Veterinary Project Podcast. So, Jonathan, we're recording this in late December, so I can't even ask you how the holidays went, but I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to get you to tell us what some of your 2021 goals are.
Holy shit. Are we starting out with this year already? Oh, there's so much going on, Mike. Nice to see you as well.
I know. And for the listeners, I've completely put Jonathan on the spot because we usually kind of have a quick chit chat. Hey, what are we going to talk about? And I didn't tell him I was going to spring this on him because I want to see if he's got his goals prepared.
So I am usually one that takes my list of 20, then cuts it down to 10, then cuts it down to 5 and focuses on those 5. I have not done that yet. It's, mid-December right now as we're recording this. So that is a to-do during my couple of off days. Big goal this year, get a new clinic up and going. We know that's going to happen mid-June-ish, July 2021. Lots in the hopper on that end. On the personal side, getting traveling again. So somehow we need to fit a large travel that we weren't able to do in 2020 for obvious reasons. With the group that I'm involved with, there's a lot in the hopper in terms of strategy on the professional side. Personal wise, yeah, there's a couple more pieces which I'm not ready to share on this on this platform yet. Let's call it that.
Fair enough. So, I keep digging. I always put you on the spot.
No, that's good. That's good. I like it.
The last episode that we did, episode 20, to wrap last year, we talked about seasons of life.
Correct.
And you are very much in spring. You are planting seeds personally and in your business. You have a ton on the go. It's going to be a big year for you. I can tell. It's going to be amazing.
That's exactly it. So when you said that, what are your goals? Like they're already in the works. I don't need to set new goals for 2021 because they've been in the works for the last year and a little bit in 2020. And obviously COVID pushes things some back, but again, on the overall, we're still full force ahead, which is fantastic. And that's both personally and professionally, which is great. Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking.
So if I'm throwing that back at you,
go
like in terms of goals for 2021.
Hey, go for it. I mean, I have a 21-page document, which is ridiculous. Like,
yes, you do.
I go overboard. We touch on it in this episode, actually. Brad asks me, my top health goal is to run a 10-kilometer race in under 40 minutes. And I'm not a runner. So I don't want to say it. I'm not sure if it's even possible for my physical body because I don't want to put any doubt out there. This is a stretch goal for me in terms of, what I'm capable of as a runner because I've never ran. So that's my number one health goal. And then, business-wise, what I do with my real estate business, I used to set metrics on, buy this many number of doors. But what I found, and COVID taught me this, is, I can't always control the outcome because other factors will come into play. But what I can control is the process. So for me, that process might look like, get in touch with X number of apartment building owners and see if they're willing to sell.
Yeah.
right? So I set a lot more process goals in the real estate. And the other one, I get to talk about this now. I told you last recording we couldn't talk about it. I'm engaged now.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. We got a huge congratulations to happen here on the Veterinary Project Podcast. So, okay, we're going long on this. Tell us how this happened, because this is pretty exciting.
Well, for people that don't know me, Rosalie and I always butcher this, we've been together like 10 years. So it's not like
a long time.
Yeah, like a decade. And it honestly, it already ran the gamut of being a joke where people are like, when are you going to ask a question? And I just outweighted like everyone, and everyone gave up. I think including Rosalie, where she was like, you're never going to pop the question, are you? So I'll try and keep it very short. I organized, it was last weekend. So it was December 12th. And I organized kind of ugly Christmas sweater photo shoot with me, Rosalie, and Riley. And I was talking it up like weeks in advance, like, we're going to be pulling, cookies out of the oven, all cliche style, and snapping photos. And then I had a good friend of mine from high school. She makes clothes for a living, and she made Riley a dress. And then it had the "Daddy, will you marry mommy" on it. And so during one of the costume changes, I took Riley and we came out in this dress, and I was holding Riley so that Rosalie couldn't read it. And then when I set Riley down on my knee and asked the question, Rosalie started crying, and Riley's too young to understand that they were tears of joy. And so Riley got kind of upset because mom is crying. So it was pretty funny, like in the moment. But no, it worked out very well. After that, we went, picked out the wedding band together. And then, just went and had a nice night kind of at the hotel as a family. So I guess we're wedding planning in 2021.
Yeah. Now you plan on, yep. And you guys going to do it in 2021, do you think?
I think so. But to be honest, we haven't even started talking about it yet. So.
All right. So 2024, there is a wedding that's going to happen.
Yeah. Sometime this decade.
Okay. Exactly.
Anyway, we better get on with the show here. The listeners are going to be like, come on, guys, speed it up.
Yeah, we've gone too long.
So before we jump into our guest, I'm going to fire it back to you, Johnny, for the first quick tip of the new year.
All right. Our quick tip for today is a simple and short one, but of an effective one, and it's pure plagiarism from my old boss. And when working with teams, when we're in the vet clinic setting, and we're working together and something goes awry, or you're miscommunicating with somebody, or somebody's coming at you aggressively, you have to maintain the thought that this person is approaching you with best intent, with the highest intent. And sometimes that's hard. Emotions are high. Things are happening in the clinic. But we're in a team. We're in a collaborative sense. If you maintain that presence or that consciousness that, yes, this person most likely 90% of the time has a highest intent for whichever is going on here right now, you can get through things, and you can get through things better. So instead of thinking the worst of that person or the worst of the situation, trying to reframe your brain and go, okay, now what is this person trying to accomplish, especially in the light of best intent, highest thought? My quick tip for today. That's it.
Nice. I like it, Johnny. Okay, as we kick off 2021, we thought we would bring on a fitness expert because our intention here with the Veterinary Project is to provide value in all areas of life. And I am a firm believer that if you don't have your health in line, all the other shit doesn't matter, right? You can be the best veterinarian in the world, but if your health isn't there, then that's the area you need to focus on. So kicking off January, we thought we would bring on Brad Posehn. So Brad Posehn, and I knew him from back in Saskatoon. He had a gym here. And I have to say, like, as a sort of personal testimonial, Brad completely transformed how I looked at working out and training and exercising, totally rewrit the script on what I thought about it. And if anyone is looking, for guidance or someone to follow, this guy knows his shit. Like, he is good. So Brad is a graduate of the College of Kinesiology at the University of Saskatchewan. He spent the last 11 plus years training athletes in the NHL, KHL, AHL, NCAA, as well as many national and provincial level athletes in sports such as volleyball, figure skating, football, lacrosse, swimming, and golf. He was the co-founder of JB Performance Training in Saskatoon, where he helps hundreds of athletes reach their goals through emphasizing proper movement patterns and catering programs to their sport and its specific demands from a biomechanical and physiological level. He's now the owner of Absolute Performance Center in Calgary, Alberta, where he continues that trend in a positive and supportive environment. So in this conversation with Brad, first, we kind of dive into the mindset of training. You know, what makes people successful? How do they stick with it? So it's a lifelong pursuit, not just a New Year's resolution. We talk about exercise versus training and professional athlete versus everyday person. And what can the everyday person kind of learn and take from the training of a professional athlete? From there, we go into what makes an effective workout. We talk about a few myths that pop up in the fitness industry. And then lastly, we pivot and we talk about some of his lessons from COVID, because he has a very different experience than the veterinary industry through these COVID times. As we were recording this episode with him, his gym was actually under a mandatory lockdown. So one of the things that he had to pivot with. And then, of course, we wrap up with our impact round. So without any further ado, I give you Brad Posehn. All right, Brad, great to have you on, our first guest of 2021. So Jonathan and I thought we'd kick off by bringing some fitness knowledge, some expertise to the veterinary community. So thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's so good to have you. We'll get into the tactical later in the conversation, but you literally kind of transformed how I thought about fitness, how I approached fitness. Before we dive into some of that, we've already shared your bio with the guests. Let's get to know you a little bit first here. The veterinary community probably doesn't know Brad. So tell us a little bit about you, kind of what makes you tick, how you landed, kind of where you are.
So actually, I was in Saskatoon and trained Mike for, oh God, how long we've been working together now, Mike?
Oh man, lots of years. I don't even know. I don't know, 2012, 13.
That's why Mike doesn't have the dad bod that most people have, right, Mike?
I hope he's paying you a premium to say that. Brad.
I even wore Brad's shirt. This is from Brad's original gym.
That's the first OG gym. Yeah, so I had a gym in Saskatoon called JB Performance Training, and then my now fiance actually got a job as the morning show host for CTV out here in Calgary. So I sold the gym and then came out to Calgary and started my own thing called the Absolute Performance Center here.
Nice. So what drew you to fitness?
You know what? I grew up playing sports. Hockey, golf were my big two. So just switching back and forth between the two. And then just fell in love with, working out a little bit at a younger age. And then obviously just, my hockey connections kind of took me into more hockey specific training early on in my university career. And then that's kind of how we were known in Saskatoon and a little bit here as well. So it was mostly just me training high performance athletes, younger athletes, and then now it's kind of evolved into a bigger umbrella where I just work with everyday clients. I mean, Mike, you're a high level athlete, Mike.
You can be honest.
I'm not saying you're an everyday guy, but I've kind of shifted a little bit into that realm a bit.
I'm a frequently injured weekend warrior. That's probably how I would describe
That's a great definition right there.
Yeah, that's actually perfect for you, Mike.
Yeah. So one thing I saw, Brad, when we started working together is, this constant and continual search for improvement. My thoughts on what working out and training was that Monday is universal bench press chest day.
Yeah.
And you always skip leg day. Like you never train your legs.
Absolutely never do your legs. You don't need them for anything athletic or for anything in life whatsoever. So Monday, bench press day, Tuesday, arms and shoulders, Wednesday, maybe a little bench press again. So that was the Mike I was introduced to in terms of training. He's like, so when are we going to do some bench press? And when are we going to do some of this? And some of this?
Or mere
hold on
selfies.
a second here, Mike.
Mere selfies. You got to do
always the selfies. Yeah. Go to the gym, drive to the gym to walk on the treadmill and take a mirror selfie. That's kind of the mic that we were introduced to.
And this is the mic that I know from university, because when we go to the gym, that was exactly what we'd do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's how most people do it, unfortunately. And again, it's not anybody's fault for doing that. I mean, fitness isn't rocket science. Working out isn't rocket science. But I think a lot of people are a little bit lost when it comes to, having a set plan in place in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. And then obviously the best way to accomplish that. And again, it would be me, like I'm next door to a ballet studio. I don't know if you guys can hear the Frozen music yet, but it would be like me going into a ballet studio and just trying to do it myself. It's not going to work out well. It's not going to be pretty. I'll do some things, but it's not going to be effective. And I think that's kind of where most people get lost, is they don't have an effective plan to follow and stick with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's our goal with bringing you on, is you completely transformed how I think about it. So I want to kind of almost give that gift to everyone listening. So, let's dive in. Before we go tactical, let's maybe spend some time around mindset. So this episode is going to be coming out first week of January 6th. A lot of people get pretty hyped up and motivated around, the new year, new me, new body.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like we were talking pre-recording, you're not a New Year's resolution guy. You're kind of steady Eddie with fitness. So how do you do that? How do you inspire your clients all year long? What do you see in your successful clients that stick with fitness plans and sort of a lifestyle of fitness all year long?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And I think the number one thing is it's got to be a priority. And I know that's hard with a lot of people. Like you guys have, younger kids, and obviously the amount of time that you have now has definitely changed. But I think the biggest thing is, number one, make it a priority. Like it's your life, it's your body. That needs to be the number one thing. Number two is consistency. So if you're not consistent with anything, you're never going to see results. And that's, across the board with whatever you're trying to accomplish. And then number three, I think it's just finding something that you enjoy doing. And that's where most people go wrong, is if you don't like going to the gym to lift weights, don't go to the gym and lift weights. That's not what you're going to stick with. If you like Pilates, go to Pilates. Rock climbing. There's so many different modalities that you can do to achieve your results. It doesn't have to be in the weight room, lifting weights. If that's not something you enjoy doing and you've tried it before, find something else that you enjoy doing, because that's going to really keep you consistent and healthy.
Yeah. And I know, like, you spend a lot of time with your clients. You do like an initial assessment up front and figure out, okay, what exactly are we trying to accomplish here? So with your programming, I see you like bind a lot of it to their end goal. Like if it's cross-country skiing, okay, what do we need to do to cross-country ski injury-free for the rest of your life?
Yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into it. So I mean, obviously their goals is one. Number two is injury history. Mm-hmm. So for a high-level athlete like yourself, Mike, who's been banged up in the corners of the ball hockey arena, you have to look at the injury history as well and see, okay, well, what do we need to work around? What do we need to modify? And because again, it's your body. We're not robots where we can just take parts off and put them back on and we're as good as new again. And I think a lot of people just don't know how to take care of their body and keep their joints healthy. So we kind of look at a bigger picture in terms of what their goals are, what their injury history is, how they move, why they move that way. And then that gives us a bigger picture, a better compass, I guess, to guide us in terms of which way we want to take the plan.
Do you encompass other modalities into that then, Brad, or are you focusing specifically onto fitness alone?
Well, if they enjoy running, so I'll use my fiance. I hope she doesn't watch this episode. She's a little bit more on the high end in terms of working out. So she'll lift weights 3 days a week with me. She'll run 4 or 5 days a week. She'll spin a couple times a week, and then she'll go do like a bar class or whatever else. So for her, she needs to, there's two kinds of people I always talk about. There's thoroughbreds and there's donkeys. Thoroughbreds, they're great. They just go, 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 go. But sometimes you have to hold the reins back on them a little bit. Whereas donkeys, you're just having to continually whip them to actually kind of do something. So for her, she's obviously more of a thoroughbred. So we look at, okay, what do you enjoy doing? How do we build this into your program and not take away if that's what you enjoy doing?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So if they want to run 6 days a week and that's what they want to do, I say, okay, well, let's do once or twice in here. We're not going to go 4 or 5 times a week in the weight room and then cut down your running because that's what you really enjoy doing is running. So we just kind of look at what their goals are, look at their injury history, and then obviously what they're doing from an activity standpoint. So it's more of a bigger picture, I guess, in terms of helping everybody.
And when you're planning then that bigger picture, because you have such a breadth of clients and like you said, every day to elite athletes, really interested in understanding for our listeners, how do you determine those that are going to be successful versus those that fall off the wagon and are gone within a month or 2 months? Do you see some themes?
Yeah, that's a bigger question. I think it kind of ties into, like the culture of the gym and if they actually enjoy doing that. Like, and again, if you don't enjoy working out, then they're probably not going to stick with it. And the difference with a trainer compared to people who just go to the gym, I mean, they're paying to come see me. So they're more than likely going to stick with that. Whereas if you're just going to the gym on your own, and it's $40-50 a month, whatever a membership is, people tend to kind of fall off that. But if you have a monetary commitment, usually I would say 95% of my clients just continue to work out because one, they enjoy it, but there's also a commitment there financially that they don't want to miss out on.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to come back to the athletes and everyday person part. I wanted to touch on exercising versus training.
Yeah.
Because for me, that was one of the biggest shifts that happened in training with you. Before I would think, okay, exercising is go and get active and sweat and move, and I need to be really sore. And that's an effective workout.
Yeah.
With you, it was all movement-based, proper movements, training my body to prevent injury. So I don't know, I guess, I'm trying to think of how we can, let's differentiate the two for the audience and then maybe dive into the training component that you excel at.
Yeah, I would say like exercise is anything that you do that's not, like a planned, structured, plan in your life. So say you go to like an F45 class or an Orange Theory class or a yoga class or a bar class. To me, I would consider that exercise. Whereas if you have a specific goal in mind and we're training for that goal, that's more of what training should be. So, they're both good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you want to go lose weight, some high intensity classes are great. You're going to lose some weight because you're going to burn calories. That's exercise to me. Training is more so, well, what do you want to accomplish? How do we help you accomplish that? Let's have a set plan in place to get you there. So that's to me the biggest differential between those two is just training has a plan, exercises, I'm going to go for a run today, or I'm going to do a yoga class, or I'm going to get my body moving in some capacity, whereas training, we're working towards a specific goal.
And what are some of those specific goals you hear from the everyday athlete for a training plan?
Healthy is a big one now, actually. So again, like Mike would be a good example of that. As like, I just want to be healthy. Like, I don't want to be running and tear my hamstring or anything like that. So the goal for most of them now is I want to be healthy, I want to get strong, and if I can, I'll want to lose a few pounds, which coincides with obviously a good training plan and good nutrition. But the biggest one is keep me healthy. Like, I want to keep doing this for a long time. I want to play ball hockey. I want to play hockey until I'm 70. And if you're injured, you're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, and I think of like longevity. When I remember to walking into your gym, you would have athletes that are paid millions of dollars to move their body like a thoroughbred, like you said, and then we would have the 50-year-old clients and the weekend warriors that just want to be able to play with their kids, or in the veterinary space, bend down and pick up those dogs or go on those farm calls and not have their body break down on them.
Yeah.
So I guess what can an everyday person pull from training like an athlete, you know, like using those same movements that you use on your high level athletes?
Yeah, and it'll depend on the person too and what their limitations are. The biggest thing that, you know, we've always preached, or I've always preached, is joint health, right? So if you're an athlete and you're constantly injured because your joints aren't healthy, like we'll use hockey for an example. If you don't have adequate hip mobility, if you don't have adequate ankle mobility, you're always going to be injured, and you're going to more than likely have a lot of groin injuries. So the big thing that I always do now is just, okay, like, let's look at the hips. Let's focus on what they use primarily, and let's keep those joints healthy so that the muscle and their sports, they can actually perform at a high level. And that's the problem we see with a lot of, you know, high level athletes, hockey players more specifically, is they're just tight and they don't know how to move, and they're more injury prone. And now I'm saying just because that you have mobile hips, that's going to prevent every injury. No, that's not the case, but we're going to try and prevent as many injuries as we can by keeping your body as healthy as possible, and by, you know, kind of lubricating your joints. So again, think of like that robot analogy, whereas if you're a robot and you've got rusty, squeaky joints, you're not going to move too well, as opposed to if that's fluid and smooth.
Mm-hmm. I think about walking back, and this would be a good question for those listeners that are maybe feeling intimidated about stepping into any gym, but especially say maybe a higher level gym. I know when I was first coming to your gym, I was super intimidated because I was like, man, there's NHL players working out here. They're going to be doing exercises I've never even heard of. And then when we get into it, Brad can take just a little rubber band and have you do a very simple movement, and you're like, holy shit, that was the best workout of my life.
Yeah.
You know, so how can people get over that intimidation, you know, of solve massive world problems for us in 2 minutes?
And that's what we're after, Brad. Only that today.
Yeah, only that. That's a good question. You know, I think it's part of the culture that you create in the gym. Like it really depends. Like Josh and I are a little bit more laid back. You know, we're very welcoming, I guess, if you want to do that, very approachable. So I think that's the biggest thing. And again, like just because they're a high level athletes, I mean, some of these guys are the nicest guys you will ever meet. So, you know, just because they're high level athletes, you don't have to be intimidated to be in the same room as them or whatnot. Like a lot of these guys are still good friends. I'm still good friends with, and they're just down to earth, you know, small town Saskatchewan guys who are just good human beings. And I think that really kind of contributed to our culture is, you know, the fact that these guys would be willing to sign autographs for kids and talk to anybody, and then vice versa. I think once you just start working out with somebody and getting to know them a bit better, those barriers come down a little bit. And that's why the environment worked. And, you know, like I said, we had, you know, a group of 6 to 10 NHL guys, and then we'd have, you know, Mike. And it just worked out perfectly.
How did you get this room, Mike?
Well, you know, I don't know how we found you, to be honest. Our ball hockey team was looking to do some training, and then once
Google.
What's that?
Google.
Yeah, probably Google. And then once the season was over, I was like, man, I just like the vibe here. I'm going to just keep coming back individually.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's worth diving into, because culture is something that we talk about a lot in the veterinary industry. You know, how do you foster a culture in the vet clinic? So what other tips would you have? Like, because you had an amazing culture. If anyone is listening and they're picturing in their head what they might think this kind of gym would feel like, I can tell you probably have it almost exactly wrong, because it was so down to earth and everyone was so friendly to each other, despite the fact that you had just the most diverse like background and variety of people. So how did you and Josh create that?
You know, I don't even know if we created anything. It was just us, you know, being ourselves. And I think it just kind of comes back to, you know, what you're taught as a kid, you know, be kind, be respectful, and, you know, listen. So listen to your clients and talk with them and take a vested interest in their lives and their kids and what they enjoy doing. And I think that's really all we did. And there's no, you know, secret sauce to that. It's just, you know, be a normal, nice, down to earth human being, and everything else really just fell into place. I don't we never talked about how to create a good culture. We just, we were who we were, and the culture kind of followed that. It's it's a gym, so people are working out hard, but it was a laid back, kind of mentality where we're not taking everything 100% serious. And, we like to drink on the weekends and eat pizza too. It's just who we are. So I think if you just listen, and if you take a vested interest in the clients and who you're dealing with, that goes a long way. And I think that's with any business out there. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you guys had, the weight scale broke in the gym, and instead of replacing it or taking it away, you guys threw up a sign and it said something like this scale is broken and we have no intention of fixing it, because that's how important this number is.
Unimportant. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just awesome. It just set the tone, for everyone, where it was like, come as you are, work to improve. Yeah. No one is sitting here measuring your weight on a daily basis and judging you.
No. And I think people get carried away in the numbers. Yeah. So again, when you start lifting weights, you could actually gain weight but lose inches. And the thing I always tell, my clients, especially the female clients, is just don't worry about the weight scale. Like, if you need it for athletic purposes, great. But for everyday people, if you're trying to get stronger, muscle is much more dense than fat, so it takes up less space. So if you're lifting weights and you're gaining muscle, you might actually gain weight while we're training. And I would say the 90% of my clients that come in, some of them will gain weight. Like, I have my weight loss clients that want to lose weight, and they'll obviously lose. But people that just want to work out and get strong, they're going to gain a little bit of weight, but they're losing inches, and that's the biggest thing. So the weight scale is just a number. It's just telling us what your relationship to the ground is with gravity. Like, that's all it says. That can fluctuate so much within females, in terms of where you are in your cycle, what medications you're on, things like that. Like, if you eat a lot of, carbs and you retain some water that day, people are like, oh, carbs made me fat. Well, no, they didn't. You're just retaining water. And in 2 days, that's going to return back to normal. So people get too obsessed with a number. And I think just look at, being consistent, finding something you love doing, just sticking with it, and the results will come.
Nice. Yeah, let's dive in then a little more tactically. But since we've already touched on it, I'm going to go straight to one of the biggest myths that I've seen on your social media. The lifting weights will make you bulky.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard you kind of rant on it a bit. And so what would you say to people that are maybe scared of lifting weights because they think they're just going to blow up and be the Hulk?
Well, I think a lot of people look at, maybe female bodybuilders and say, I don't want to look like that, without realizing what it took to actually look like that. So, they work out 6-7 days a week, 2, 3, 4 hours, and they eat a ton of food. They probably eat more calories than I do in a day. That's their second job, is to gain muscle to look like that. So if you're going to lift heavy 2-3 times a week and just eat like you normally do, there's absolutely no way you will even come close to looking like that. And I think that's, again, kind of going back into the extremes of, well, I don't want to look like a bodybuilder. I just want to get toned, but without understanding there's a large gray area there that you can fit in that's not going to get you looking like, the She-Hulk, right?
I like it. So then let's sort of walk someone through how can they build, their effective training plan. What would you recommend as like initial steps if people are looking to get rolling in 2021 training?
Well, find out what you want to do. Like, find out what your goals are. So again, if we use, like, say you, for example, and you wanted to, what's your goal right now, Mike?
Well, for 2021, I texted you, I want to run a 10-kilometer race in under 40 minutes.
And what did I tell you you're supposed to do?
You said you're going to have to run a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
So finding somebody who knows what they're doing and can kind of work with you and your goals, as opposed to putting everybody in a box, right? Like, so Mike's goals are to run, 40-minute 10-kilometer. Jonathan's goals are to look good naked. We're not going to give you the same program. So figuring out what your goal is the number one thing, and then finding somebody who can help you work within those goals, as opposed to saying, okay, we're just going to do this. I've had all my clients do this. This is what we're doing. That's not, it might work a little bit, but it's not truly effective to what you want to accomplish. So it really depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish, and then finding somebody that can help you work within that realm.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people out there right now with COVID, and I know we're going to get into that a little bit here right now, that are feeling stressed. They're in front of the computer too much. They're not being active. They're overeating. They're over drinking. Again, I'm completely broad speaking here, so that's but you're hearing that across the board, that there is more of all of the above happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you tell to that individual that says, I don't have a goal, I want to improve from where I am right now in this very stressful time?
Yeah, so just small steps would be the biggest thing. Like, let's just get moving 30 minutes a day, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's doing just a quick body weight workout, or doing a quick mobility routine that might get you actually sweating, because some of the mobility stuff we do is quite difficult. Let's just start small. Just have small wins, 30 minutes every day. Start with that and then build from there. And it's not anything that is really specific. It's just being consistent, finding time for yourself, prioritizing yourself, and then just stick with it. Be consistent. Put it in your phone that you have a 30-minute block. This is my time. I'm not going to deal with kids. I'm not going to deal with whatever else is going on. This is my time, and I'm going to prioritize that.
Okay. So it tends to work for that first 3-4 weeks. We're feeling jazzed up.
Yeah.
And then that first month comes along. Our motivation goes down, not seeing 20 pounds come off, and everything else is prioritized.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just the human psyche, I guess, is that, and that's today's society, is we want results instantly. We want things now. We want our bodies to be Amazon Prime, where I get my results in 2 days and I get whatever I want in 2 days. And this is a human body. This isn't, a toy you order off Amazon. It doesn't work that way. It takes time. It takes consistency, and it takes finding something that you love, that you can stick with and enjoy doing. So that's, I think, again, part of a much bigger conversation in terms of people's, today's society. I want this now, as opposed to being patient and just working on it. This is a lifelong process. You have your body for your entire life. It's a lifelong process. Just trust it and be consistent and treat it well.
But I have to have it ready for March when I actually get to travel again.
You have no idea how many times I hear that. It's like, okay, I'm going to the beach in 7 weeks and I need a beach body. And it's like, okay, that's give yourself a little bit more time than that.
Man, I love that Amazon Prime example. That was fantastic.
It's got to be one of the top 5 quotes of the podcast year right there. And we're only in January. That's awesome.
Well, it's true. Like, it's like, give it now. So, well, just wait. It's going to take some time.
Yeah. So on that note, are there any supplements or other things that you recommend that help kickstart that process?
Yeah, absolutely. Sleep. Like, sleep is the best. Just, learn to sleep, de-stress. Stress is something that holds a lot of fat and could be holding back your results. In terms of supplements, just eat better food. It's, again, this isn't rocket science, and I know the guys at GNC and Popeyes will disagree with me, but you don't need supplements. You need to eat better, and you need to sleep better, and you need to move more, and that's it. And if our society did that, then we'd be more like the European societies, where they don't have the obesity rates that we do. They're a much healthier society because they eat better, they move more, and they sleep better. There's less stress over there.
Man, I love that. And I love, for anyone listening, you've got to follow Brad's Instagram, because he'll call out, lots of the fad stuff that comes flying through. One of my favorite ones I think of was like all the detoxes that you see.
Oh God.
And yours was like how to detox. Have kidneys, have a liver, like breathe air and drink water. Done.
Yeah, like your liver and kidneys do all the detoxing for your body. No magical juice or whatever is gonna fix that.
So my ginseng cleanse is no good. I got it on Black Friday deal.
25% off.
Exactly.
You're just making expensive pee.
That's exactly it.
Okay, so sort of one last question on maybe on the tactical is, a lot of it, like you said, it's not rocket science, it's basics. But that being said, the training industry does evolve. Like I know you said you look back at one of the first programs you made back when you were in kin and you laugh at yourself at the advances. And I know in vet school, the last week I was in vet school, one of the professors said, in 5 years from now, 50% of everything you've learned here will be proven false. What is sort of happening behind the scenes in the fitness and training world, for new ideas, new science that's coming out? Like how fast does that evolve and move?
The basics, this is a little bit of a different industry, I think, where the basics work. And again, it's eating, sleeping, and moving more. And then we can get into the finer details of like programming for athletes, and that has changed dramatically. But in terms of just general health for people and weight loss, that's stayed pretty consistent for a long time. And I don't think there's been a ton of new advances. It's just more common sense. And that's really just what my job is. It's common sense. It's taking it a day at a time, being consistent, eating healthy, moving more, sleeping more. And, I wish there was a magical pill that I could say, oh, this is such a cool thing that you need to get into. It's go sleep for 8 hours a day for a week and then just tell me how you feel. And if you feel great, good. Like that's it. It's not magic. It's not a magical pill. It's really simple stuff. And again, that's not great for sales, and that's not great for Instagram because we need to show you all this flashy new stuff and this is groundbreaking and whatever you want to call it. Those people are full of shit. It's simple things.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
we got to flash Mike's.
What's that?
Mike's abs on Instagram.
Yeah.
That'll work.
No, you got to give me whatever 7 months till Brad's done with me here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is just mastering that basics. And that's what you guys were so good at. I remember I'd be doing like a workout and you'd be like, flex your back like 1 inch more, just like those little nuances to master the really simple stuff.
Yeah. Like the lifting weights isn't rocket science. And, I think it's a life skill that I think a lot of people should learn. Just so the goal is for you not to need me anymore. Like this isn't that complicated where you should be able to make your own program now and know how to work out. And if we're together for a year and you don't know how to do any of that stuff, then I didn't do my job effectively. Again, my goal is after a year, you don't need me anymore. And if you want to keep paying me money and hanging out with me, great. I mean, I'm all for that. But this isn't rocket science. It's not hard. It's not doing an operation on a dog. It's go do a deadlift and go do some chin-ups and, simple stuff.
Man, I like how you said that. I hadn't thought of that. But after spending a lot of time with you, you do get those basics down and you don't have to come to the gym.
Correct.
I know you've sort of taken with COVID, you've have an app where you have, like 300 or so of your workouts on there on video. So remote clients can see, okay, this is the proper way to do a deadlift or to do a squat.
Yeah.
I like how you frame that. If you're working yourself out of a job, you shouldn't need to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not going to market any bright, flashy things. That's not needed. It's just keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, right? KISS principle.
Yep. Nice. Okay, we're gonna pivot a little bit here, Brad, into discussing COVID because our listeners are in the veterinary space. The veterinary space has not closed down due to COVID. If anything, we're seeing more clients and we're busier.
Yeah.
You are in an industry that is in sort of the eye of the hurricane. Your gym is mandatory lockdown right now in Calgary. This is the second time that's happened.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you could share with us maybe some of the lessons that from COVID. I have to assume your business plan didn't have global pandemic shuts me down.
I was in part B. Like I didn't have that in part A, but yeah, definitely part B. We had.
Yeah, you did have it in part B. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's it's interesting. Like you learn a lot from obviously the training side, but like COVID's taught me more on the business side of things in terms of pivoting. So I've always wanted to get into kind of the online world, but for me right now, I'm working well, not right now, but pre-shutdown, I was working, 10, 11, 12-hour days training people. So I didn't have a ton of time to do any online stuff. And this, the 3-month shutdown that we had at the start, that gave me an opportunity to shoot some videos, develop some content, and then get that out to the world. So it is a silver lining that, it sucks to be shut down, obviously. But at the same time, our industry, I don't think is as bad as some of the other industries like the restaurant business, things like that. But I mean, it's a silver lining. You just take it in stride and you try and develop new ways to keep your business afloat and generate revenue and just roll with the punches. So it's obviously not ideal, but my business is adaptable and I've learned that now, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good positive spin. And you were saying, you have clients across Canada. I mean, really, you can work with anyone anywhere in the world now with what you've got set up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really simple. And again, it's not ideal. Ideally, you'd be in here, and it's more hands-on and more, feedback that way. But this is the next best thing, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So
nice. Okay, Brad, as we're wrapping up, I'm about to move into the impact round. Anything I missed? Because I mean, you're the expert. Anything, any myths we need to debunk, or any areas we should jump into before we kind of wrap up?
No, I think honestly, like the biggest message is just like keep it simple, stick to the basics, and keep it simple and be consistent. And I think that's always my message to all my clients. And don't worry about the flashy stuff and the gimmicky stuff and the detox world and the diet world and all that stuff. It's just eat more fruits and vegetables, get more sleep, and move more. And it's really, really simple. It's not tough.
Nice. Okay, we're going to move you through our impact round. I don't know if you saw them. It's a series of questions we asked all of our guests.
Okay.
So kicking off, I know the answer to the first one, but I still got to ask you, are you a cat or a dog person?
Oh, a dog.
Yes. So for anyone that doesn't know, Brad has a gym dog, Luna. She was in Saskatoon and made the move to Calgary.
Come on.
And she is now
She's
on
napping.
slowly YouTube.
Napping. Come here.
Oh, there she
comes.
is.
Yeah.
So she's gonna lay down.
Very nice dog. Many workouts with Luna where she'd come over, give her a little.
That's why I have half my clients is they just come here for the dog, to be honest with you. It's a little bit of dog therapy, a little bit of stress relief, and some workout.
Nice. Okay, true or false? I knew I wanted to be a personal trainer since I was a kid.
False.
False. How would your friends describe what you do for a living?
Oh. I don't know how to say this without throwing them under a bus. Oh God, how would my friends describe what I do for a living? Make people look better naked, I guess, is we'll keep it PG.
Okay, I like that. Okay, the next one, I threw it in last minute here. I'm trying to see if I can get Brad riled up on a rant. Burpees should be a part of any well-planned training program. Is that true or false?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the number one exercise out there. It's such a great fundamental movement that I think everybody should do 7,000 of them in a day just to make you tired and feel accomplished. Like, hey, we did something because I made you tired. It's like, wow, your daughter could tell me what to do and make me more tired. So I think they're useless. I don't program them. I've never programmed them. I don't see the point in making people tired just for the sake of making people tired and feel like you're special. So
can we follow up with his thoughts on CrossFit as well while we're at it?
Like it's some good and bad. Like it really depends on the coach, right? It depends on the box and the coach. I mean, there's obviously some CrossFit gyms that stick to the basics and they're really good technically. And like my industry, there's a lot of trainers that are terrible. There's a lot of CrossFit trainers that just aren't good and don't understand fundamental technique comes first before you add load and velocity. So it's, there's good and bad. They're improving, which is nice. But I mean, as an industry as a whole, I think we have a long way to go to improve our standards.
Nice. What is your favorite hobby?
watching Sunday Night Football.
Nice. Okay. And are you still a Pats fan, or do you jump ship like every Pats fan?
I'm a Tom Brady guy, number one first. So it's, I've gotten a lot of, like the physio that I work with, he thinks Bill Belichick's the best, and I think Bill Belichick's the best coach. But now that this season has panned out, I've kind of been giving it to him a bit more that Tom was more important than Bill. So I still do like the Pats, but I hope Tom does well. I hope they win.
Yeah, that's fair. What in this world are you most grateful for?
Do you be like cheesy and say, your fiance and the current life you live, or let's go with that?
That's where you're going? Okay.
That's where I'm going with it.
Okay. Well, now if she does listen, she got to hear you call her intense, but then you made up for it at the end, so it's all good.
Yeah, but she got to watch the last part to get, yes, and watch the whole thing, not just see that and then get mad. Then I get in trouble.
Okay, Brad, thanks so much for taking some time joining us. It's hard to encapsulate like how much knowledge you have and how good you are at what you do in a short episode like this. So, we wanted to bring you on, introduce you to our community. If they want to follow along on social media, where's the best place that they can get in touch with you or see what you're up to?
Just by Instagram, brad.posehn is the easiest way. And that's it. Really simple.
We have to spell that for the guests because no one will spell your last name right.
Posehn.
Excellent. So I highly recommend everyone check Brad out on Instagram. Very good knowledge and also lots of comedy mixes in, as you can guess by his burpee answer. So thanks so much. Anything to add, Johnny, before we wrap up?
No, this was great. Thanks, Brad. Really appreciate it. Mike's wanted to have you on for months, and it's lived up to the name. So
perfect. Thanks for having me, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Okay. So as always, final word goes to you, Brad. What message do you want to leave for the veterinary community?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Thank you for listening to the Veterinary Project Podcast. As a recap on behalf of our hosts, the Veterinary Project Podcast will be releasing new episodes weekly, so be sure to tune in as we bring you more conversations aimed at helping you enjoy a life well lived. If you enjoyed what you heard on the show and you want to stay in the know, please like, love, and or subscribe to the podcast on the listening platform of your choosing, as we're available on all the usual suspects. If you know of others that may benefit from these conversations, we'd love it if you please share the show with them, as this will help us grow our community to reach more and more veterinary professionals. Speaking of which, if you are a veterinary professional and would like to get connected with more like-minded individuals who are joining us on this journey, please send an email to the veterinaryprojectpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll invite you to be a part of our private Facebook group. General feedback, requests for information, or perhaps requests to be a guest on the show can also be sent to the Veterinary Project Podcast @gmail.com. Dr. Michael Bugg and Dr. Jonathan Light, thank you for listening to the show, and we'll catch you again next week for another episode of the Veterinary Project Podcast. Bye for now.